threshold of innovation.
Good evening. This is a council meeting, a committee meeting night tonight. As you note, or maybe you haven't noticed yet, I'm sitting in an unusual chair. The mayor is out of town this evening. He might show up later, we don't know. But for now, I'm filling in for the mayor. We have 3 committee meetings scheduled tonight: Finance and Personnel Committee, Planning and Development Committee, and the City and Safety Services Committee. Before we start, I want to make a couple announcements. First of all, I think all council members received a copy of our communication regarding a joint Athens City Council and Student Senate meeting that there was some confusion about. Some people thought it was going to be tonight. Some people thought it was going to be May 14th. It turns out we're going to try and schedule it for September. So don't hold your breath that long. My next announcement is Chris Fall has something she'd like to say.
Great, thank you. This is just okay, just put in my 2 cents. The 6th grade at East Elementary asked, because I am the representative of that basic area, to ask to have a proclamation read, maybe at next council meeting. This last week is the Days of Remembrance, to remember victims of the Holocaust and other genocides, and they have been doing this extensively through the 5th and 6th grade, looking at Holocausts and genocides, and they have a remembrance that they would like as a proclamation signed by the mayor to be put in. I'd just like to forewarn.
Chris, Finance and Personnel.
Okay. An update for you tonight on the revolving loan fund. This is our single agenda item that I'm aware of at this point. And we had the 3rd reading last week for the city, for the mayor to enter into an agreement with Buckeye Hills Hocking Valley Regional Development District, and that's to administer the city's revolving loan fund. And just wanting to remind the public again that that revolving loan fund is there. You may have also remembered the mayor's comments that we have approximately $200,000 in that fund, of which $85,000 will be appropriated to this year's Community Development Block Grant Program. So that leaves us a balance of $115,000. So the city will be working to look at different possible projects for that revolving loan fund. And are there any other miscellaneous items?
Chris, did you have any information about Paula? Talk about this.
This is for the transportation enhancement. This went out late in the day, but I did not see the transportation was continued.
We thought we would discuss that under city services, if that's acceptable to you. Kent and Allahu will be speaking to that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. If no other items, then that's all I have tonight.
Planning and Development.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The one item I have on the agenda tonight is the city has a comprehensive plan advisory committee that's been working for the last few years to help implement the comprehensive plan, and we come to council periodically with the ideas and recommendations from this advisory commission. And I would like to put out for discussion the most recent recommendation from the advisory committee about developing an environmental and sustainability commission. And this was repeatedly asked for by the public in many, many meetings and through the whole planning process. The idea behind that is that it would be a commission not like the Planning Commission, which has kind of duties put out by the Ohio Revised Code, but more like the Disabilities Commission, which would be an advise and recommend commission. They would help to develop policy, plans, educational materials, and also would act as a clearinghouse for environmental and sustainability issues for the city of Athens. Ed Baum is here to also discuss it, since he's one of the chief people on the advisory committee. Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Ed.
Good evening, I'm Ed Baum, 20 Sunnyside Drive, Athens, Ohio, and I'm here in my role as Chair of the Comprehensive Plan Review and Advisory Commission. One of the things that some of you may remember, those of you on council last year wouldn't remember, which is why I handed the information out, we talked about some of the things that's still yet to be done, because one of our responsibilities is to keep track of progress on development toward the goals and objectives of the commission. One of the areas that's particularly important, and one has developed really substantially in the decades since that plan was really developed, is the area of the environment. And what we are recommending is the creation of an Environment and Sustainability Commission, in part because this section that I've just given you is the section of our report last year which indicated things to be done. And as the commission reviewed these things, they said, who is going to do them? Who is going to think about them? Well, obviously, council has too many other things to do to spend a lot of time when you look at what needs to be done on environmentally sensitive areas, sustainability, groundwater resources, and viewsheds and vistas. Council can't do it. Planning Commission can't do it, and even we can't do it. And it seems that we're not even on the forefront of such commissions. Oxford, Ohio has had one for 20 years. And I hate to think that Oxford has been that far ahead of us in their concerns about the environment. So what we have recommended, and we've given to our representative on the commission and the representative of my ward. No, I guess technically you're not. Oh, I forget. But you're close in the near east side neighborhood, yes. The dividing line in my ward goes down the middle of my street. So the other side of my street is in 4th and my side's in 3rd. But anyway, we have given to Chris our recommendations for an ordinance for your consideration. We feel that there is sufficient interest in the city of Athens, both broadly in terms of its citizens, residents, non-residents, students, retired people, and things that deal with the environment and are concerned for the environment. And we feel it's time that we have a body that would be established to look specifically at recommendations that would come to council and to the administration. It has no independent powers. It's not an acting body. It's not like the Tree Commission, which says yay or nay, or like the Planning Commission, we could say yay or nay. But it is a recommending body which will look at these various things and other things and say, okay, we feel that these are things that the city should do, and recommend it to council or to the mayor and the administration. So that's what we're recommending to you, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Great. And one thing I want to point out is that I think something like this is important because the Tree Commission has a really specific mandate. Mm-hmm. The Planning Commission has a really specific mandate. Mm-hmm. This is looking at the overall environmental and sustainability of the whole city, can act as a coordinator of various projects, can help to support the other commissions and the other bodies in the city, in the administration. So I think that that's one reason why it's, in order to implement the things that have been put forward in the comprehensive plan, it's important to have. Plus it's, using the expertise, once again, in our community, which we have a lot of, so. Jeff?
How many members do you think should be on this commission?
I think we had it set up 7,
Yeah.
total of 7.
Yes.
Which is an ideal number. If you do any group research, they say 7 is a good number for a commission. And why, you could be larger, but we feel that if it gets too large, then it gets unwieldy. If it's too small, you don't have the expertise to bring in.
Well, that's a great idea.
Thank you.
I would second that. I think it's a great idea. And are we thinking about representatives from certain organizations or?
And it-
where we might draw on their expertise to serve on the committee.
I think one thing that we looked at is that we don't want to get too specific in the participation, because then it gets more difficult if you have to have a business person and a East Sider, and, because then you're spending a lot of time trying to find who represents those groups. We need, I think that it can evolve after that. I think it should try to start with just energy and expertise. And I think people who will come forward to volunteer will represent a good, broad cloth of the community. Chris?
And who would be appointing the mayor?
This is a commission.
I didn't hear the question.
who would be
It's a council.
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 In the same way that the Comprehensive Plan Review and Advisory Commission is appointed by council.
So there will be
I would assume that the chair of the Planning Development Committee would put out, and back to the question that was raised about membership, when you start taking a look at all the stakeholders that have an interest in the environment, you end up with a list of 30 or 40 different groups. And to say that you can be on, but you can't, we felt was probably something that would be beyond council's ability or desire.
There will be a member from council who will
Yes.
be an ad hoc, at least, on this.
Thank you.
Great. So, thank you. Any more questions?
I just want to say that I think this is a fantastic idea and so timely with everything else that's going on within the national environment and our local environment. I think this is fantastic.
So I will bring that ordinance next week, or week after, whenever we meet in council, the 7th. Thank you. And that's what I have for Planning and Development Committee.
City Safety Services.
Thank you, sir. I believe I'll start, I don't know if I should say president or mayor or
Just go.
Jim.
czar Sands. This is just a brief update regarding the Grosvenor slip. After meeting with Public Works Director Andy Stone, he was able to clarify a few things and is considering extending the project, as we discussed briefly before. There was about $45,000 available because the project was under bid, if I'm correct in understanding the numbers here. So to extend the project, there's been engineer estimates that it would be another $81,000 would be required. So we were looking at adding that on to which 70,000, I'm sorry, 81,000 needed to extend the project with, let's see, I'm looking at the numbers here, 50,000 from Fund 226 wheel tax, 20,000 from Fund 755 storm, and what else am I missing here? Is that the, Member Nisley can clarify?
What happened is that we had 270,000 from our original appropriations.
Correct.
And then $217,000 was bid for the total project. So that gave us a balance of $53,000 left to work with, at which point we said, we've got some extra money, let's extend this project where we can to make improvements in that area. And out of that $53,000, we did spend $8,000 that was appropriated for design of extending the scope of the project. So the bid did come in that it was going to be $81,000 for the total cost of the extended project, of which we have $45,000 left. So it means we need 36 additional outright, 10,000 for the construction engineering, and 20,000 for a contingency fee. So if you add those three up, the 36, the 10, and the 20,000, that totals 66,000. And so we've rounded it up just a slight bit, given the construction, difficulties or things that might come up that we weren't aware of to begin with. So of that $70,000 needed, 50,000 would come from 226 wheel tax, 20,000 from 755 storm.
Yeah, and thank you for clarifying. I was tempting not to go on all the nitty-gritty with all the numbers, but I think in hearing it, it really helps explain where we're at and how we got to this point, because there has been so many needs regarding Grosvenor Street with the slip repair and the decay of our infrastructure within the city. It just makes sense to do this now, and thank you. Member Gosney.
If I could just add, this will be a pretty comprehensive improvement to Grosvenor Street. So this will be something that will be an overall improvement of pretty much every aspect of the street for many decades to come. Similar to what we did on Mill Street, where we did not just the street and the water, some of the water infrastructure, but we also did sidewalks, gutters, and some of the sewage, or the stormwater runoff as well. So part of this added cost is to make sure that we don't leave anything behind in terms of not taking care of, water coming off the side of the road improperly or anything like that. So.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, moving on to miscellaneous, I believe Member Gosney has some updates regarding the bike trail, correct?
Yeah, and hopefully Paula will help me out here. The City Engineer's Office, Engineering and Public Works, is in the process of applying for a grant for the Columbus Road Bike Path Spur. That's something that we've discussed here at Council before. One of the changes to the application process was that they require an ordinance from Council now before they can, or while they're in the process of submitting the application. And so and Public Engineering Office contacted some of us today asking that we introduce this tonight so that we can have an ordinance ready our next meeting that we probably will consider under suspension if that's needed, to make sure that this application it's a federal dollars for transportation that are administered through the Ohio Department of Transportation. Paul, I don't know if you have any more details that you want to add to that.
We talked about it on our street tour and about getting the connector path from the Hockhocking-Adena Bikeway across onto Columbus Road. His estimate here is $1 million, but it's 80/20, so we'll have to come up with a mere $200,000. But I think that everybody is feeling fairly engaged about expanding the bikeway. Yes.
Would you be kind enough to repeat the visual again of where the spur would go? Yeah.
It isn't in cemented yet, but we're viewing it as coming across and then connecting with the Columbus Circle. You're aware of the new ARC access road.
Coming across the river?
Yes.
A bridge?
Mm-hmm. And then coming across in that manner. And then that way, we've had people for years, particularly in the Hockhocking-Adena Bikeway Committee, coming to us saying, when can you get us connected and across that river and be able to access, Columbus Road is one of our business developing areas. And so, yes, we'd like to do that. The suspension is because the time frame, he actually has to submit this, I believe, May 1, but he's going to submit it maybe even with committee meeting notes indicating that an ordinance is forthcoming in support of this project.
So it could enhance people who are using it to commute to get to the plains, potentially to Chauncey, without having to go on, major highways. So it could be very, important not only to Athens citizens, but to the community, the surrounding communities.
And we've also discussed improvements on Columbus Road and North Lancaster, possibly looking at the CDBG funds to be matched into that with additional funding, so it kind of all comes together.
And Paul, you can remind me as well, or anyone else who has heard this, I can echo. I believe I've heard in the past that there would be safety issues as well in a potentially beneficial way, in which having this access would be helpful for the sheriff's department, the police department, because they can be on bikes and or small motorized vehicles to get across that surface.
Similar to when we stopped on a street tour at the Morris Avenue Bikeway Spur, where the captain indicated that any additional access point is always assist them in case they're looking for someone and they can access it at multiple points. So.
Thank you.
There's been some discussion of a spur going to the high school at the Plains. How does this Have any?
Just, it's one more enhancement, and actually Andy even indicates this in his narrative, that Nelsonville built an extension to read their heart of the city in 2010. Athens County is building a spur to the Athens High School in 2012 through these same funds. So, very true. Our high school students can be getting to school via bikeway.
At 7 o'clock in the morning.
It is too early, but that's a different discussion.
Then you get home.
Yeah.
If there's a,
Well, and I will acknowledge my public support for this right now, if that's helpful for the application, and I'm sure there's many others on council who accompany me, so I think this, I'd love to see this progress and move forward.
well, this has been a priority in the pedestrian bike planning document that was put together also, so.
Well, geographically, we've always been split. There by the river, this town has been split, so this really does kind of pull things together on one side.
Member Patterson?
Yeah, I'd also like to add, my support of this. It's interesting, again, being timely. I was just reading today the Rails to Trails magazine, which is an actual magazine out there, and you're looking at cities like Milwaukee and Portland, Oregon, and I can go on and on and on. And I look at Athens, and for a project like this to go through, I think it puts us right up there on the same radar for a city that's much smaller, and would be a great benefit to the whole city to have something like this go through.
It will just increase those numbers. For a city our size, of, just greater than 20,000 people, we potentially, I think we have something like 23% of people who use either like bikes or walking or Athens Transit. And so we're well above the national average for using all those different forms of transportation. So this would only, as Councilmember Patterson's saying, just increase that.
And I might acknowledge as well, too, that the tourism end of this, it will be enhanced greatly, knowing that we've had the Pelotonia here before, GOBA. We've been a very bike-friendly community in the past, and this will continue to prosper that definition. Any other comments or thoughts regarding this particular project? Any other miscellaneous? Paula, do you have some?
No, I do. Other than be smart, be civil, be safe, you kids out there this weekend.
Thank you.
Oh, and can we remind people about Beautification Day on Sunday?
Yes.
And the rec, here, a public meeting, recreational,
Tuesday or Wednesday?
Thursday. Is it Thursday?
That's what I said.
Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Wednesday?
25th.
It's on our website. So,
Yes.
for the strategic planning for the recreation, parks, art, and recreation,
Thank you.
The public meeting.
public meeting.
If I may, I apologize for not bringing those up earlier as an announcement, but I did want to update everyone on the JPAC, the Joint Police Cruiser. I have a little bit more information I wanted to share with everyone because we finally hammered out some of the details in terms of this joint OU affiliate / non-OU affiliate teams for coming up with graphic designs. Applications need to be in by April 30th. That's the other reason why I wanted to bring this up, because it's kind of crunch time for being able to submit. It's not submitting your design, it's submitting an application, almost like a letter of intent that you intend to submit a design. The designs don't have to be in until May 25th, but that's the deadline for the actual design coming in. But I just wanted to make sure that gets out there so that everyone's aware of this opportunity.
I might submit an application under a pseudonym, or a pseudonym.
As you should.
Alias.
Van Gogh.
I do have 2 ears.
And you don't qualify.
But he does have a beard.
Any other miscellaneous?
No? I guess we're done.
24 minutes.